All right, everyone. Good morning. My name is George. Um, I'm a program assistant for the Gads program. Also a scholar in Pluralsight. Today, I'll be looking at implement private Google access and Cloud NAT. Of course, private Google access is where you have resources on Google that have access to Google services without using public IP addresses. This is more secure and faster for you as the customer. Cloud NAT is a situation where you have private IPs placed behind a NAT gateway, and what the NAT does, it exposes itself using a public IP and then talks to the resources behind that NAT gateway using private IPs. So you don't directly connect to those resources, but you talk to the NAT gateway and it translates the messages into private IPs for the resources behind that. So normally in this lab, you would have to start this in a private window. It's safer for you. It makes it possible to avoid conflicts in user information used to sign in. So I'm going to right click on this and open in a new private window. That's what I'll do. So when you do that, it automatically would take up some okay, so I have to sign in. That's the part I need to sign in. Okay, so Gmail. Okay. Okay, so I would stop this video and get across to my password, then I would return. All right, so I'm back, signed in using my Pluralsight ID that is associated with the program. Note that this link is associated with your Pluralsight ID for the Gads program. If you don't use that ID, then you will have errors when you're going into the lab. So first thing you need to do is look at the task overview. We will be creating a VM, enabling private Google access, configuring a Cloud NAT gateway, configure and view logs with Cloud NAT login, do a review and then end the lab. A total mark of 15 will be received. Of course, as you progress through the lab, you can just click on this and make sure each stage of the lab is completed by when you see the full marks on the side here. If you don't, usually you can just click check progress and it will bring up a pop-up window that would show you tell you why you haven't been able to get the full marks. The lab should last for an hour, 20 minutes. Usually if you start off first time, it may take you exactly that time or a bit more. Sometimes the lab may time out, but don't worry about that. Just try it again, and if you get a lab quota error, simply just click here and then chat with support. Tell them you're part of the Gads program and you ought to have I think unlimited access, not infinite access, but you should be able to have up to 3 access to this lab, and by the second access you should have been able to do something. But to help yourself, it's best you read through the instructions, the overview, the objectives of this lab, and then quickly look through the steps, and so that you know what you're expected to do. Okay, so the first thing is create a VPC network. When you create a VPC network on this subnet with a mask of 20, region is this, and of course the name is this. We create that, and then we create a firewall rule for that network that targets all instances in that network. The other option is to actually use tags on your VM instances, but in this case, every instance in that network will be affected by this firewall rule. The salt filter is a range, and the range is this. Okay, so the mask here covers 8, 16, and another 8 here, that's 24. So some part of this third portion will change or can change. or be allocated to an instance. And the last part, the same thing. That's where just read up on mask, net mask. You would be able to understand it. Okay, so we'll be creating this. Okay, so let's quickly start the lab. Okay, so that I don't take too much time. This lab shouldn't take me more than 30 minutes, assuming it works out the way I plan it. Okay, so it will pick up your username, take up the password. Okay, pick that up, click on this. Okay, put in the password. Okay, accept this. Okay, so we are creating a network called private net. So I can, first off, you will see this. You might see this sometimes if you're doing several labs together, you might not be asked to accept that. Okay, so for those of you who are complaining about not being able to relate this current console interface with what is currently on the learning videos or review videos, you can search for your resources here. So I want to do network, so I do network. Okay, so it should search network services. Okay, let's see this. If I doubt, let me go scroll down. Okay, so let me do network services and see. Let's see if, okay, network services, these are load balancing and so this is not what we, okay, so what we're trying to do is create a VPC. So these are network services. Let's look for a VPC. Type that in, VPC networks, that one. Okay. Oh, okay, it doesn't. All right, so let's create a private VPC. Click on this. Let me check the name. It's private net. We will create a VPC and a firewall rule to control traffic on that VPC. Private net. Let's be sure I got that right, because private network, there's an E there. It's important you get that right, because the grading system would use those specific identifiers to tell, to tell if you actually did what you're supposed to do. Okay, so the IP range is this. Okay, so see, already we have issues. They type the name private nets, then you create a subnet, click custom, call it private subnets or private net US. Let me just select all that. Okay, so go here. This is a custom mode. It's already selected, so get rid of the first part of that, pasted in name. The region is US, US Central. That's the one. And of course, we just leave single dual stack no. The range, okay, so pick up that range, copy that, come back here, put that there. Get rid of the space before that range. Whenever you paste in your IP range and it's still red, the text turns red, and you're sure that is exactly what you're supposed to be pasting, most likely there's invisible space characters either before the IP address or the IP range or behind it, so just get rid of those. Let's see any other thing we're supposed to do. New subnet, click done, click create. Okay, so click done, and then come down here. We weren't asked to enable any firewall rules. Okay, so this would have been the default firewall rules that if you enable would give you the same access as you would on a default VPC. Okay, so we are not doing this global or regional. That's not important right now. Okay, so that's done. Then we have a firewall rule called private net. Okay, no, sorry, not private net, called private net SSH. So we want to enable SSH access into that network. So let's go on to firewall rules. So firewall is here. Select this one. Okay, so create a firewall rule, give it the name specified, and of course, since I triple clicked, I've picked up white spaces. You can put a description if you want. Okay, so what's the target? It said all instances in that network. Source filter is a range, so let's pick up the range, which is here. Okay, so copy. Network is private net, so we have to select the network. Pick this one. There's definitely space. Okay, so click outside. That's done. Let's look for the network. It went for default. We need to change that. Okay, there is a problem. Why isn't the firewall rule picking up private IP? Okay, there's a problem. There's a problem. There's a problem. There's a problem. Okay, let's do a refresh. Let me do a refresh. Maybe that network is not yet up. Okay, so no, this is not what's supposed to be here. Get rid of this one. Let me come back here, pick this one up, copy, come back here, click that to get rid of that. Okay, and then let's see. Okay, there it is. It's back. Then let's pick the IP range. Okay, so remember we're enabling port 22. No, we're not using tags. We're using so the three options, you could say all instances to target a particular set of resources, or you could use tags, or you could use any resource that has a specified service account. So we're using this one, and then the IP range. Okay, so you have service account, tags, and IP range, 6 ranges. So let's get rid of that one. Click outside. Then we are doing port 22. Okay, all right, so that's done. Let's be sure we have everything, and then click create. All right, so come down here, click create. All right, so you will soon see this change once the grading system picks up your changes. Okay, so we create a VM. Okay, the VM we will call VM internal on the same region and this zone. Machine type, the CPU type is N1. Machine type is standard. The boot disk will be Debian 10. So when creating this, you might have instances, VM instances. You might have you will have other defaults put into place. You need to change those. I'm not sure if the grading system will accept you to use any other configuration except the one they've specified. So in order to avoid issues where your grading system doesn't give you the full marks, please be as specific as you can, okay, about the identifiable names and configuration. Okay, we are doing C, I believe. Let's confirm that, yes, and then N series. And okay, so we come down here, E series, that's the default, but we will do this, and then we're picking Debian. For the boot image is 11, so click on change, change this to 10 booster, and then select. Okay, is there any other thing we're supposed to do? Okay, so any other thing we're supposed to do, click networking, for click the default to edit it, change it to private, and then choose a subnet, and then external IP none. So let's change the network interface associated with this instance. I think networking, click on this. Okay, no, we're not doing this. That's not where management, I believe. Okay, no, that's not it. Let's go to networking again. Network interfaces. Okay, it's default. Okay, we're clicking change this to private, and then of course it picks up this one, external IP address. We say ephemeral. Hold on. Okay, primary internal. Okay, external is none, so we'll come down here and say none. Okay, let's check off for okay, click done, click create. Okay, so let's click done, which is here. So we change the network interface, host name and network interfaces. We change that one. Okay, let's have a quick look at that again. Interface is changed. Okay, so that's it. We changed the interfaces here. We've done that one, and then we click on create. All right, so when we do that, we can quickly wait a few seconds and click here. Okay, so that went well. So the max will increase after a bit. So let's SSH into that VM by activating our Cloud Shell, and then of course accepting continue prompt, and then using the CLI to actually SSH into that instance using tunnel through IAP tool. Okay, so let's so SSH into it. Let me bring this one down a bit. Okay, okay, so the SSH into it. All right, except that let me just let me put this one up a bit so that you see what I'm doing. Just hit enter, I'm not putting any particular passphrase, just making it leaving it empty. Okay, so when prompted for the same passphrase, and click enter. Did the prompt change to VM internal? Yes, it should have. Okay, so let's go up here. Okay, hasn't changed yet. Okay, it's still coming up. Okay, just give it a few seconds. Okay, it's actually uses entropy to kind of generates key, a specific key for this one. So you just picks up activities on your VM and uses that as a means to generate keys that are specific to your SSH user. Okay, so just give it a bit. Okay, so I'll stop the video and return when it's done. I believe, I think I went about it the wrong way. I'm supposed to click on this and then connect. So let me, yeah, continue. Okay, I mistakenly went about it SSHing into the instance, which is not what I was supposed to do. Okay, so it can't generate key for access from itself. It needs to be from another end. So yes, Okay, so it's changed to internal, so we are inside. We've connected to the VM. Okay, so of course when you are successful, the VM prompt will change to the name of the instance. So let's ping google.com from our VM and see what happens. Okay, it shouldn't be possible because we don't have access. All right, so wait for the ping to complete, then we exit from that shell. Okay, so 100% packet loss. Okay, so increase the font. Let's exit from there. Okay, so we are back to where we ought to be, where we started from. Now let's enable private Google access. Okay, so in the console, go to browser, create a bucket. Okay, so we're going to create a storage bucket, enter a unique name. I would take the ID of my project and let it be multi-regional. So let's create a bucket. So let me type on, okay, so bucket, okay, cloud storage, click on that. You can actually click on this, it will take you to a new tab. It will close this tab eventually. You can just close this one. Got this one. So this one is, let me close this so that I can do my Cloud Shell operations here. And the advantage is that I even have access to the editor. The editor is up here. Okay, so okay, let's dismiss this one. So now let me increase the font. Okay, so you see what I'm doing. Okay, so let's create a unique bucket. Create a bucket. Normally this won't take you more than 30 minutes, believe me. I made a mistake, so mine is taking a bit longer. I click on continue. It says multi-region. Okay, so multi-regions, they have different ones. You have Europe, you have Asia. So I'm taking the default, and then I could pick the default storage class if I wanted, but the default here is standard. How you access object in terms of IAM access to your objects, whether it should be targeted towards individual blob objects or the bucket itself. So we don't need to modify that. We take the default and then we export the bucket name as an environmental variable. Okay, so we go to your Cloud Shell. Let me pick this. I won't pick this. I'll pick from here down. Okay, and then paste that in, and then go back here, pick the bucket name, which was my project ID. I don't know what yours was. Put that there and export it. So in that terminal, I have a variable called my bucket, and I'll use that to access that bucket. Okay, so that bucket has been created. We come back here, we echo to show that that variable has been created. The export keyword then makes it possible so that if you create subshells from this current shell, you will still have access to that variable. Now in Cloud Shell, we're going to run the following command. We're going to copy a file from this public facing bucket and place it inside our own bucket. So let me select that one, come here and put that here and then hit enter. Okay, so that's been successful. Okay, so let's go to our bucket name. Let's do a refresh. Let's see if we have an object in that bucket. Okay, so that's it. We have it there. All right, so okay, so in the console, click on your bucket name to verify this. You can click on the name of the image in the Cloud Console to view an example of how private is implemented. Okay. Okay, so access the image from your VMware. Currently, which of your VM instances can access the image from your bucket? Okay, it's Cloud Shell. It's Cloud Shell because that has been set up to do that. VM internal hasn't been. Okay, so in the Cloud Shell, try to copy the image from your bucket and run the following by running the following command. So let's go to Cloud Shell. Let's drop this here. Okay, it's successfully, by doing a list command, you see the image there, it's there. Okay, so I'll just make it a bit bigger. All right, so the access.svg image is there. Okay, to connect to VM, run the following command. We're going to SSH into our VM using the previous method we used. So I put that in there, I hit enter, it should connect me there. Okay, all right, so we're there. Okay, so now if prompted, accept the prompts and all that. Now export the name of the buckets like we did previously, but this time is in a different environment in our VMs. Okay, so I get the name from here, come back here. Okay, that's there. Then of course you can do echo to be sure it's there. Then now let us copy and see what will happen. It shouldn't be successful because we're accessing it. This doesn't have an external IP. Okay, all right, so leave it to go through. It doesn't, so we'll close that, say Control Z. Okay, it stopped, so it didn't work out. Now enable private good access. Like I said before, private good access makes it possible for you to access Google services using your over the private subnet of a Google Cloud. So let's go to our Vpc network, click on this, click edit, and then switch on private Google access. So let's go to our VPC, this one. Okay, so let's bring this one up. Let's click on this one. It just has one subnet. Click edit and then enable Google private access. We've clicked edit, dynamic routing, subnets. Okay, it's done at this. Okay, let me look again. I think it's done at the subnet level. Okay, so click on the subnet to open the subnet, and then so let me go back. Okay, so it's done at the subnet level, not at the VPC level. So I click on this one and then click edit and then scroll down, switch on Google private access, save. Okay, all right, so let's check and see it worked. Okay, so in the Cloud Shell for the VM, try to copy that again. So I already run this command, so all I do is use my arrow key to repeat that. And it worked out. So if I do a list, it's there. Okay, so then we now exit from the Cloud Shell. Okay, I think we entered into several Cloud Shells. We hadn't moved out of the first one. Okay, so now let's do configuring a NAT gateway. Although VM internal can now access Google Disk and services with an external IP, the instance cannot access the internet for updates and patches. Okay, so with a NAT gateway that will be possible. So we do an update first in the Cloud Shell. Okay, let's do an update. Okay. All right, that's to show you that your Cloud Shell can actually this is possible because Cloud Shell has an external IP and was able to access an external service, but for this VM it doesn't have. So let's go back into that VM using this. You can actually enter into this VM from your computer if you wanted to. All right, so click on that. If you wanted to, you simply just make sure your Google Cloud SDK is installed and then copy this command and run it in your terminal, and it should go in, whether you're using Windows or Linux. Okay, so we've done this, so let's do an update. Let's do an update. Okay, just to see and show us that you will not be able to access external services because of the fact that you don't have a public IP access. Okay, so it won't go far, so let's not waste our time. So we'll close that one out. All right, so let's configure the NAT gateway. We're going to call this NAT gateway this, put it on this network, and then put it in this region. And then we'll create a cloud router for this. The name would be this, and the type will be a NAT router. I'll click create, and we're done. Okay, so let's come back here. We're doing NAT. Okay, that should be a network service. All right, so we'll create that one, get started. Okay, copy this, take note of the region network you're placing it in. The region matters, of course, is connected to the network itself. So we're going to call this NAT route. Okay, so type NAT router for the name and then click create. So we'll put this in, and region is this, and of course keep alive interval. Let's click create. All right, and it should be done in a few seconds. Just give it a few seconds, let it come up. Okay, we have not done this, so it won't give us the mark we're expecting. Okay, that's done. Now to verify, we do the update once more. Okay, so we see it went through. All right, so it went through as usual. Let's exit. All right, so come back here. Task 4, configure and view logs with Cloud NAT login. Cloud NAT login allows you to log NAT connection and errors. When Cloud NAT login is enabled, one log entry can be generated for each of the following scenarios. When a network connection using NAT is created, when a packet is dropped because no port was available for NAT. You can opt to log both kinds of events or just one or the other. Now let's enable login. Okay, if login is enabled, all collected logs are sent to Cloud Login by default. You can filter this so that only certain logs are sent. Okay. All right. So in the GCP console, go to Cloud NAT, click edit. So let's go to Cloud NAT. Okay. Okay. So edit. Let me. Okay, hold on. Let's go back here. Let's see what they asked us to do. Click on NAT config gateway, then click edit. Okay, so let me go back. Okay, click on NAT gateway. It's a router. It's a router. Let's go back to the NAT, Cloud NAT. Okay, this one. Okay, so logs, right? So let's edit. Okay, advanced configuration. No login. Okay, so let's see what kind of logins we're doing. Click advanced configuration, drop down selection under stack driver, select translation and errors. Click save. So translation and errors, and then click save. Sorry. Okay. Now NAT login in this. NAT login in cloud operations. Now that you have set up cloud NAT login for your NAT config gateway, let's find out where we can view our logs. Click on NAT gateway to expose its details. NAT config to expose its details, and click on logs tab. Okay, I think NAT config. Then click on logs. Click on logs and click on cloud login. Click on that one. this will open the operations login. You will see that there aren't any logs yet. That's because we just enabled this feature for gateway. Keep an eye on this tab. Now generating logs. As a reminder, CloudNAT logs are generated for the following sequences: network connections and then dropped packets. So in a cloud shell, let's go back into that our VM. Okay, let's go back into that VM. Let's get this. Let's just kill this one. Okay, so that's our cloud login. Now let's do an update again. All right. Okay, so all right. After that, we'll view the logs. Once the login is successful, let's exit. Okay. Now returning to this, click the Logs Explorer. So let's come here, click the Logs Explorer. That's where we are. Okay. All right. So it should generate it. Okay, there you go. These are the logs as expected. Okay, let's close this expand. Okay, sorry, shouldn't have done that. So those are the logs, right? Okay, then okay, so those are the logs. You can of course filter and decide what should be. Remember, there were 4 options. If you look here, advanced configuration, there were four options: no login, translations and errors, translations only, and errors only. So those are the filters you use, and of course you get the output for this. All right, so that's that. We've got 15 marks and we're done with this lab. Thank you for watching. Please kindly leave your likes on my channel so that I can move on. Bye bye. Don't forget to close your labs too. You can leave a review if you like. If you don't, that's okay.